It's simply unbelievable. In order to provide affordable, high-strength bolts to the people of Pakistan, this humble little factory in Pakistan uses scrap steel recycled from local factories to start producing durable, high-strength bolts. The high-quality scrap steel purchased here is the raw material for making the bolts. Workers place the steel into a stamping machine, using the punch along with the limit plate to quickly cut the steel into standard lengths. In less than 10 minutes, they've already cut this pile of steel rods. The workers then place these steel rods into a forging furnace for high-temperature heating. This step is to improve the metal's plasticity, making it easier to stamp and shape. At this moment, glowing red iron rods are constantly flying out of the furnace, but it seems the workers are already used to it. They stay focused on the furnace operation. By moving the heated steel rods into a chute, they transfer them to the processing workshop. At this point, we can also see what just flew out are actually already stamped steel blanks. This is really dangerous. During this process, the workers place the heated steel rods into stamping molds, then quickly put them into a stamping machine, using the mold to rapidly stamp the steel rods into bolt heads. Then they quickly throw them out of the workshop. At this stage, the steel blanks are starting to look like bolts. To improve the hardness and strength of the steel blanks, the workers use a pre-prepared quenching pit to quench the steel blanks. In this process, the high-temperature steel blanks are placed into cold water for rapid cooling. Then they quickly sort them to the side by hand to await the next step. Once the steel blanks are completely cooled, they are transferred to the processing workshop. The workers first use a lathe to carefully machine the bolt heads, ensuring the appearance and dimensions meet the required specifications. Then they send it to the next station, using the lathe to machine the steel blank into the appropriate size for a bolt shaft. This process also requires chamfering the bolt shaft smoothly to ensure all dimensions meet production requirements. Next, the most important task is to machine the standard thread on the bolt shaft. The same equipment used to cut the threads is still a lathe. You can see the workers skillfully operating the lathe for 2 rounds of cutting. Then, the standard thread is successfully machined onto the bolt shaft. This process requires not only extensive experience and superb skill, but also strong mental resilience and courage. After all, any mistake in the machining process could lead to serious safety accidents. However, despite not having precision testing equipment here, the workers use suitable nuts to check whether the threads meet the required specifications. At this point, the bolt processing is roughly complete. The production of the nut follows the same method. After stamping the blank, it is machined on the lathe and chamfered. A matching thread is made in the inner hole to make the bolts more corrosion and rust resistant. The workers also need to place the bolts into a chemical solvent for high temperature heating. Through a chemical reaction with the solvent, a dense black protective layer is formed on the surface. This improves the durability and lifespan of the bolts. And that's how the high-strength bolts are made. So after watching the entire process, what do you think about the strength of these bolts made this way?